All jurors are accounted for.
Okay, thank you. Everyone may be seated. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Elizabeth Scher, and I'm going to be the judge presiding over jury selection in this case. In order to have a fair and lawful trial, I have to give you an initial, I give you an initial instruction, which is as follows. A basic rule that all jurors must follow is to decide the case only on the evidence presented in the courtroom. You must not communicate with anyone, including friends and family members, about this case, the people and places involved, or your jury service. You must not disclose your thoughts about this case or ask for advice on how to decide this case. Now, we're very early on in this selection process. Due to the length of time that this trial is going to take, we are doing jury selection in phases, and this is phase 1. So we are a ways away from the part where you would be receiving any evidence if you are selected. However, until I excuse you and tell you that your service is no longer needed, you are under the obligation not to discuss what goes on in this courtroom and not to discuss anything that you hear about this case. And that is until, even if when you're excused, that rule is in effect until you are out of the courthouse. Because although you may be excused from the case, there might be somebody else who's not. And so you may not talk about what goes on in here until you're excused and you are out of the courthouse, meaning for the rest of your service, meaning you're not coming back, at least for another year. I want to stress that this rule means you must not use electronic devices or cell phones to communicate about the case, including tweeting, blogging, emailing, posting information on a website or chat room, or by any means at all. Do not send or accept messages to or from anyone about this case or your jury service. In addition, when you're in court, your cell phones and electronic devices must be turned off. That's not on silent or vibrate, but completely off. Please do not do any research or look up any words, names, or maps, or anything else that may have anything to do with this case. This includes by using an electronic device, cell phone, computer to get information about the case or the people and places involved. Now, if you are not excused after today, in other words, if you're going to come back for what we would call the second part of jury selection, this order remains in effect even when you're at home or anywhere else. Once you are excused and you are no longer coming back, you can talk about whatever you want. All of us are depending upon you to follow these rules so that there will be a fair and lawful resolution in this case. Any juror who violates these restrictions jeopardizes the fairness of the proceedings, and a mistrial could result that would require the entire process to start over. This is a tremendous expense and inconvenience to everyone. If you are aware of any violation of these instructions that I give you, you must tell me by giving a note to one of the bailiffs. If there is any issue at any time that you feel needs to be brought to my attention, please let Charlene, Deputy Blackwood, know. She's also Bailiff Blackwood. She's right there. She is the point person in charge. And if you have any issues, you let her know, and she will let me know. The matter before us is the criminal case of the state of Florida versus Nicholas Cruz. This case stems from a school shooting that occurred on February 14th, 2018 at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Please understand that although you may be familiar with this case, you will not be excused merely for that reason alone. Nicholas Cruz, the defendant in this case, has pled guilty to 17 counts of murder in the first degree in a previous proceeding. The only issue that will be before you if you are selected to serve on the jury is to determine the appropriate sentence for each of the 17 counts. The punishment will either be life in prison without the possibility of parole or death. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of jury selection is to find a number of people who can follow the law and serve as fair and impartial jurors. In order for you to be eligible, You have to agree to follow the law. And the law is, in this case, exactly what I tell you it is and what it is and nothing more. I'm not going to instruct you on all of the law today because we're not quite there yet. We're going to talk about preliminary matters such as scheduling. But you should know that when the time comes, I will instruct you on all of the law that applies to this case. So if you believe that you can be fair and impartial and that you can follow the law as it's set out by the judge, who is me, then you're eligible. At this time, I'm going to have both sides introduce themselves, and we'll start with the state.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Carolyn McCann. I'm an assistant state attorney.
Good morning. My name is Michael Sachs. I'm an assistant state attorney.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Marcus, and I am also an assistant state attorney.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Ciccone, and I'm an assistant state attorney.
Good morning, everyone. I'm also an assistant state attorney. My name is Stephen Quinner.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Aaron Savitsky, and I am a legal assistant.
Will the defense introduce themselves, please?
Good morning. My name is Elise McNeil, and I, along with Naval Bashman, Kate O'Shea, Casey Seaport, Tamara Curtis, and David Wheeler, represent Nicholas Cruz.
Okay, as I indicated, first of all, by a show of hands, is there anyone here who personally knows any of the prosecutors, which you'll also hear me refer to as the state? I know in some jurisdictions they call them district attorneys. In this state, we call them state attorneys or prosecutors. It means the same thing. Does anybody, by a show of hands, personally know anyone that was sitting at the prosecution table in front of me? Okay, for the record, there are no one is raising their hands. By a show of hands, does anyone personally know the defendant or any of the defense lawyers that are sitting at this table over here? And there's no one raising their hand. As I mentioned before, jury selection in this case will be completed in phases. For example, after speaking to you today, if you still remain in the jury pool, you will not be required to return until the month of May. Now, we're just at the beginning of April, and I didn't misspeak. You're not going to have to come back for the whole month of April. You'll be required to come back in May. There is a calendar that was sitting on your chair. If you would please take the opportunity to take a look at it. On the days that you are not here, we will continue to interview jurors. And those of you who remain with us will be brought back for additional questioning. This process will go on until there is a sufficient pool of jurors to select those who will stay with us to hear the case. After the full jury selection process, if you're selected to serve, we anticipate that the trial, the actual trial, that's where the lawyers call witnesses and they present evidence, that will begin on May 31st, which, just for a point of reference, is the Tuesday after Memorial Day weekend. So if you look at the calendars provided, if you are selected to come back for the second phase, you will be required to return 1, possibly 2 days in the month of May. You'll be considered Group B, so you'll see on the calendar it says B, and then it says the 2 days you'll need to be available. After that, you won't be required to return until May 31st, again, which is a Tuesday, and that's when the full trial will begin. Once the trial begins, we will work from approximately 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. each day. There are a number of days that are marked on the provided calendars when we will not have court and you will not be required to be present. So if you look on the calendars, there's many days that say off or court holiday or half day. So that means on those days we know we're not going to be here. There may be additional days where I need to work things out with the lawyers that don't involve the jurors, and so there may be additional days where you leave early or you're not required to be present, but the provided calendars are a basic guideline. Now, under rare circumstances, we do work past 5. For example, if there's a witness on the stand and they're in the middle of their testimony, and to finish up that witness on a particular day, we need to go to 5:15, 5:30, we will do so, but this is not one of those courts that stays till very late at night. We won't do that, especially given the time that we're asking you to commit. We're not going to do that. Again, on rare occasion, if there's some type of exception, we might have to, but I will give you a notice of that. If there is a particular day when you may have an appointment or other obligation during the trial time, but you're otherwise available to serve, please let me know when I call on you, and I will see if we can accommodate you. I understand that many of you will be unable to serve due to the length of trial. If your service on this jury would cause you a hardship, you will be excused. I'm going to give you some examples of what a hardship may be. Please listen closely. If you are a full-time parent or caregiver and you are unable to make other accommodations for the person you care for, you may be excused. If you are a business owner and your business needs you in order to operate and it would be a financial burden for you to be away from your business, you may be excused. If you are a sole practitioner, an independent contractor, if you work on commission or you work on tips, and you're required to be present in order to make that type of income, you may be excused. If you are a full-time employee, you may not be penalized by your employer for your jury service. However, your employers are not required to pay you for this extended period of time. Given that, many employers will continue to pay you depending on who you're employed by. A lot of the state and government agencies will continue to pay you for your service in addition to being required to have your job for you when you're finished. If you are not sure about whether you'll be compensated by your employer and you would like to step out to call them, please let me know when I call on you, and you may do that. Now, I know I just said that we don't allow cell phones in the courtroom. However, I'm going to go over the schedule with you individually, find out who has hardships. If you are the type of person who keeps your calendar on your phone and you need to reference it to see which dates you are out, you may do so now. Okay, at this time, I'm going to start with the section that is closest to me over here, and I'm going to ask you to please raise your hand if you believe you have a service in this case will cause you a hardship. I'm going to take your names, and as I call your name, you can put your hand down, and then I'm going to come back and call on you individually. In the first section, please raise your hand if you believe you have a hardship and you cannot serve on this jury. Mr. Solano, Ms. Bellamy,
Yes.
Mr. Green, Ms. Plummer, Mr. Jimenez, Mr. Camacho Roman, please tell me what your hardship is.
Yes, I'm the single proprietor of a consulting
scholarship, but as well in my business.
Okay, so you can't miss school and keep your scholarship?
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Plummer, juror number 8.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. What, you look so good.
I'm Storka Child Manager.
Oh, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I'm unable to commit. I am the sole provider of caring for my mother at this time.
And there's no one else who can care for her?
No, Your Honor.
And you do that every day?
Yes, Your
In during the day?
Honor. When I come off work, yes.
Okay.
In the evenings.
So if you were required to serve, would that be a hardship for you?
Yes, it would.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Jimenez, juror number 9.
I have a 5-year-old. I have full custody of her. And I also have a 36-week-old
You have a what?
a wife that's pregnant, 36 weeks. She's soon to come out, so
She's what?
she's soon to give birth.
Okay.
So,
So you have full custody of a 5-year-old and you're you're
yeah, I do everything. I drop her off, pick her up from school. Also gotta work.
and there's no one else who can do that for you?
You know, her mom
Okay.
doesn't live in the States.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jimenez, juror number 9. Juror number 10, Mr. Camacho Roman. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm a flight attendant, so I get paid based off of the actual flight time. So if I don't fly, I don't get paid.
Okay, so if you couldn't fly for the days that are listed on the calendar, would that be a hardship for you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Juror number 13, Ms. Winter. Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, so I'm a single mom with 2 boys, and I also work full-time, which requires a lot of travel. A lot of that travel is during the time that's scheduled here on the calendar.
Okay. Well, let's start with your boys.
Sure.
How old are they?
They're 11 and 14.
And do you pick them up, drop them off?
I drop them off, and I do pick them up.
And what times of the day?
So I have to drop them at 8:30, so it's later than when we would be starting here. And I live 45 minutes away from here. And then in the afternoon, I'm not so concerned about. It's more of my travel that's already been booked for the next 4 months, as I'm head of sales for my company.
Okay, and do you work on a commission?
I do.
If you were required to miss those trips, would that affect you financially?
Big time.
Okay, would that be a hardship?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay, juror number 14, Mr. Shaw. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm a business owner and I'm having a gas station, so I'm like working 70 hours a week. So if I'm not there, the station will be going to be closed. So it's difficult to me to maintain a sort of help employee right now.
Okay, so you can't be away from your business.
Yeah, I can't.
70 hours a week, that's a long week. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, Mr. McKenzie, did I miss you? Juror number 12?
I didn't, I was debating and looking at the schedule.
Okay.
I have a lot of disabilities that I have doctor's appointments a lot throughout the month. In May, I could probably arrange something. I'm looking more at the trial, and it's going to be quite difficult for me to see the doctors that I need to see. One of those days in particular is something that, a special therapy that I have in my home that's done by IV.
So, sir, without telling me anything specific, because I don't want to pry into your personal life, can you just give me an estimate of how many days a week or how many days a month you go to doctor's appointments?
Usually around 10 times.
10 times per month during the work days?
During the work week, yeah. I can't get anybody on the weekend.
I understand, sir. So obviously you can't miss those doctor's appointments.
I should not miss those doctor's appointments or I'm going to have a lot of problems.
We don't want you to have to miss your doctor's appointments, okay? Thank you for letting me know.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lopez, juror number 17. Good morning.
Good morning. I am a legal assistant, and I just require confirmation from my job just for compensation for the 4 months.
Okay, so do you, would you like to step outside? The bailiff can take you if you want to take your cell phone, if you have a cell phone with
Yes.
you, and you can give them a call and ask them?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Harris, juror number 18. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Your Honor. I'm the owner of JR's Construction and the project manager as well as the estimator for other companies. So pretty much being here for that schedule gonna pretty much cause me.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
Okay, I'm gonna start it.
I heard you said you own your own construction company
Yes.
and you're a project manager.
I'm a project manager as well as an estimator for several other companies. So being here for those days is gonna be like a little bit sticky for me, as well as personal ties to the case. I can't be involved.
Okay, so let me just ask you, so you work as an independent contractor?
I am.
And if you're not at work, do you get paid?
No.
And if you don't get paid, is that a problem for you? Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Morales, juror number 19.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor. I'm the owner of American Technical Solutions. I'm a business owner, and I have telecom projects in the Caribbean, and I need to fly every week. In fact, I landed yesterday, and I'm leaving tomorrow again. So it's going to be very hard for me to be during the week.
Okay, if you have to miss your trips to the Caribbean, is that going to affect you?
Yeah, my projects maybe will not perform.
And would that be a hardship? Is that a hardship for you, sir?
Yeah, I can go broke easy.
And you said you travel almost
Every
weekly?
week. I have proof here that I'm flying this week and the next week and the following week.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Ms. Roberts, juror number 20.
Yes.
Hi.
Morning, Your Honor. I work with a shipping company in Miami-Dade. My department is consistent.
Ma'am, could you just keep your voice up? It's hard to hear you.
Okay.
You work for a shipping company?
In Miami-Dade. Thank you. My department is consisted of 5 people. Right now, we're down 2, so we're only operating at 3. Due to the duration of the case, I am not sure if I will have a job when I get back. So I could call them to find out. But as of right now, if I don't have that job, it will affect me. Because that's how I get my insurance. And
I understand. So your company would be required by law to keep your spot. They can't fire you or replace you, but the question would be, if they were to pay you while you serve, would you be otherwise able to serve?
Yes.
Do you want to step out and give your company a call?
Yes.
Okay, you can go ahead and do that.
I wanted to check if the pay for being out for
Okay, I think that is Mr. Martinez, juror number 16. Oh, you're Mr. Delerme,
Yes.
juror number 15.
Yes. I just needed time to go outside and speak to my HR regarding pay for the
Okay,
length of the
that's
trial.
fine. You may do so, sir. Okay, we're going to move on. First of all, did I forget anybody or did I not see a hand raised in the front row? Mr. Nurse,
Yes, Your Honor. Initially, I didn't.
juror number 2.
Yes, Your Honor. Initially, I didn't raise my hand because I wasn't quite sure. But single parent with joint custody of a 14-year-old, and My timeshare per the court order says that I have to take the minor child for 2.5 weeks in the summer, right as school gets out for the summer break.
So around June, beginning to middle of June?
I'm scheduled to take her from June 13th to the 27th. I would have to forfeit that timeshare.
Would that be a hardship for you?
I only see her every other weekend, so it's already hard.
Look, it's what, however you feel. I know how I feel, but I need to know how you feel.
I mean, I don't know if there was such a thing as coming back after that. If there was have to serve, I'd be okay with that. But
Well, sir, we have plenty of trials going on in this courthouse that I'm sure you would be eligible to serve if that's your only problem, that you are just not available 2 weeks, and that's not a problem, by the way. That's an important 2 weeks for you.
it is.
So, is it fair to say it would be a hardship for you if you had to miss that time with your daughter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, that's okay. I appreciate you letting us know, and I appreciate you letting us know that you would like to sit on another case and fulfill your civic duty. That's a good thing. Yes, sir. I see Mr. Martinez, juror number 16, is raising his hand.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi.
So I'm a quality engineer manager for Major Cruise Line, and we're doing a major software upgrade from starting May all the way to September 30th. Being part of this case will actually impact the overall delivery of this, because I'm one of the major stakeholders. When it comes from wages, I'm not concerned about wages. I'm just concerned about the delivery of this project.
Okay, so my question is, are you going to be able to focus and give us your attention if you're selected, or are you going to be concerned and thinking about your job?
Right, because I manage about 80 individuals under me.
Okay.
And I have to be constantly, interacting with resources that I have here and offshore. So
you would not be able to set that all aside and say, I'm a juror, so right now I'm going to put that all to the side and give my full attention. You would not be able to do that?
I'm willing to serve on a smaller case that doesn't take 4 months. I mean, I'm happy to fulfill my civic duty. It's gonna be a high-profile case, and I don't want to, be thinking about everything that's going on besides that. So please take that into consideration.
Thank you. Okay, in the next section, by a show of hands, in the very first row in front of me, which should have Mr. Ewart on one side and Mr. Testa on the other, would you please raise your hand in the front row if you feel you have a hardship? Mr. Ewart, Mr. Pierre, Mr. Brown, number 24, Ms. Shore, number 23, and Mr. Testa, number 21. And let's go to the second row by a show of hands, please. Okay, I see Ms. Fearon, number 28, and you can put your hand down when I call your name. Mr. Colavito, number 29. Mr. Hawkins, number 31. Ms. Poland, number 32. Ms. Roan, number 33. And Mr. Etienne, number 35. Okay, Mr. Etienne, while I'm on your name, let's go ahead and start with you, sir. If you could please stand up and speak as loudly as possible and clearly so we can hear you. What is your hardship, sir?
Yeah, my honor to be here. I'm very thrilled to be here. But my problem I get, I'm working in Boston as a director of quality insurance. I'm working both in Boston and I got a small business.
I'm sorry, sir. Is there any way you can speak a little slower?
I am working in Boston and Foxborough. I'm working in Boston and Foxborough, like the time, it's like 2 months, I can afford it, but like it's 4 months.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just right under.
Like the length of the while. I'm living in Foxborough, Boston, in Massachusetts.
You live in
Okay, it's all right.
Like the length of the time is just too long.
Okay.
If like 1 month or 2 months, I can afford it, but like 2 months is a long.
It's a financial hardship for you.
I think it might be because I lost my job in Boston. I can go to all they are doing a little bit like 1 or 2 months.
Okay, sir, I need you to slow down, please. This court reporter has to take everything down, and it's hard when somebody speaks fast.
Okay. Yeah, the problem I get, I'm working in Boston, and I got a small businesses over here. Like for 4 months, for this trial look like too long for me. I would like to get in something like 1 month, 1 month and a half. But
So it would be a financial hardship for you to serve. Okay, thank you, sir. And that was Mr. Etienne, juror number 35. Ms. Roan, juror number 33.
Hi, good
Hi.
morning, everyone. Couple things. I'm a full-time pharmacist, and my employer will only pay me 3 days max for jury duty, so I can't go that duration without pay. Also, I have an 8-month-old, so I don't get paid, can't pay for a babysitter, and I'm nursing still.
Okay.
And I have to pump.
All right, well, congratulations on your infant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, juror number 32, Ms. Poland.
Hi,
Hi.
good morning. I would have to check with my employer to see if they're willing to compensate me financially for the time that I'm out. I know that it would put a hardship on my employer. I'm a registered nurse, and with COVID, we lost a lot of nurses.
I'm sure.
So our department is pretty tight. We have about 45 employees in our department, but I'm not sure. They would have to replace me with a per diem. So I have to see if they're willing to do that.
If they are willing to do that, are you otherwise able to serve?
Sure.
Would you mind
Sure, I'll call
stepping outside and trying to get a hold of them?
Sure, I'll go call them right now.
Okay, thank you. Juror number 31, Mr. Hawkins.
Hi, I'm a wealth advisor and I'm paid on commission, so missing 3-4 months is going to financially hurt me.
Okay, thank you, sir. Juror number 29, Mr. Colavito.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. I would actually see if I have to check with my employer. I believe it would only be a 3-day period that they would pay me for. I have shared custody with my children. I might be able to work it out with my ex-wife. We don't speak other than about our children, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I would have to check with my employer. Otherwise, 4 months, though, I don't have any other supports. It's just me. And then I have the kids the 3 days a week, and she has them 4. So I would lose my home, my car, everything.
Okay, so why don't we start with one thing at a time? The kids. What's your time sharing schedule?
My time schedule, it all goes around my schedule. I run a restaurant for a living.
Okay.
I run Flanagan's in North Lauderdale.
Okay.
So my schedule, I have opens that start at 7 o'clock in the morning, or I have mids that start at 11, or I have closes that start at 4.
So if you had to be here from 9 to 5, that wouldn't affect your time sharing with the children?
I get my children, I have my 2 days off a week, and then I have arrangements with my company where I have an open 1 day a week where I pick them up directly after work at 5 o'clock from their mom's house.
Okay.
She gets them from school, and then I pick them up right directly from her home.
But you're saying 2 days during the week
I have off.
You have off, so you
Yeah.
spend the whole day with the kids.
I have them, if they're in school, I just pick them up from school. You know, on my half day at work, on my morning open at work, I pick them up from her home after 5 o'clock, after I get off work.
And the 2 days that you have off, those are usually during the week, those days?
It depends. Mine goes monthly. So if I have off, say, Friday, Saturday this month, I have off, nobody gets off Monday, Tuesday but the GMs. I'm an assistant, so I get off Tuesday, Wednesday the next month. You know,
So let me ask you this, approximately, if you take a month at a time,
Mhm.
and we're gonna be starting mostly in June, when the kids are off of school,
Mhm.
how many of your time sharing days that you ordinarily have off during the week would you be missing approximately per month?
I would have them for the entire day, so it'd be 3 days a week, so 12 days a month. I would be missing on my job. But for like you said, work, if work was willing to compensate me, I might be able to arrange it. You know?
Okay, so the issue of missing out on your days off when you spend the time with your kids this summer, that is not an issue for you?
Of course it's an issue.
Okay, so, well, that's what I need to know. Is
Oh,
that,
yes, ma'am, of course.
you know what, I gave only examples of a financial hardship, but missing out with your children for the summer, that's a hardship.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Of course it is.
If you think it's a hardship, I'm just
Oh,
saying it's
yes,
not
ma'am.
automatically, but
I
some
just-
people might say I'd rather be here, but.
I just fought in court to get them for the 3 days a week, so yeah, that's a major hardship.
Okay, so that's understood. So I don't think we need to even get to your work because I don't want you to have to miss out with your kids.
Okay, I'm just honestly just trying to weigh everything.
I understand. Okay, Ms. Fearon, juror number 28. Hello.
I'm a self-employed cosmetologist and beauty consultant.
Okay.
And I'm also caretaker for my sister-in-law and my 2 older parents that I take to all their doctor's appointments.
Okay, so let's start with your job. If you're self-employed, do you get paid if you are not at work?
Oh, no.
And if you don't work and you don't get paid, is that a financial hardship for you?
It absolutely is.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Juror number 21, Mr. Testa.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hi.
I work for public supermarkets. They will only compensate me for 5 days. And during the length of the 4-month trial, I will not be compensated, and that would hurt me financially.
Okay, thank you, sir. Juror number 23, Ms. Shore.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hi.
I'm an accountant. I'm a financial controller for an accounting firm. And I am the only person that handles the finances for the firm. I handle their payroll and all their financial responsibilities. The length of this time, of this trial, would be a hardship for the firm. And
What about for you?
not financially, but it would be a hardship for the firm, and I guess for my skills, I'm there. I'm the only one there. And I would feel that they would have to replace me because the length of time would be not, but I'd be willing to do any trial, but not this length of time.
Do you feel that if you were selected, you would be preoccupied and concerned about your job?
Yes.
As opposed to being able to give us your undivided
Yes.
attention?
Yes,
So even if they were to pay you,
Yes.
that wouldn't matter to you?
exactly.
All right, thank you. Okay, juror number 24, Mr. Brown. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I lease a tractor trailer. I'm an owner operator, so I'll be able to stay out for so long.
Okay, so you are a driver and you're an independent contractor, is that right?
Yes.
And if you don't work, do you get paid?
No.
And if you don't get paid, is that a
I lose
problem?
everything. I lose the truck.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Juror number 26, Mr. Pierre. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm the household. My wife doesn't work. I got 3 boys. 2 of them is special need, and I get paid for what I do for the day. So if I'm not working, so I'm not able to support my family.
Okay, thank you,
My
sir.
wife is on bed rest too. So
Okay. All right, thank you for letting us know.
thank you.
Okay, did I miss anyone in the first two rows? Mr. Ewert.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
I'm a small business owner, actually a couple of businesses, one of which is a CPA firm that does auditing, and I'm the managing partner, and I'm the only other CPA in management role that can issue reports. So
Okay.
obviously I wouldn't be able to work, and it's a regulated industry where they have mandatory deadlines. So frankly, I wouldn't have a business left by the time that was over. Why the business? I'm an IT. I do IT and cloud services and telecom services, and I only have one other employee, and he's only 3 months on the job at this point. So can't run without me.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I miss anyone in the first two rows in this front section? Okay, let's go to the next row, the third row. Please raise your hand if you feel you have a hardship. When I call your name, you can put your hand down. Mr. Lopez, juror number 36. Mr. Eakins, juror number 37. Ms. Valentin Mercado, juror number 38. Juror number 39, Ms. Maggi. Juror number 40, Ms. Michelle. Juror number 41, Ms. Mathlier. Juror number 42, Ms. Brown. Did I miss anyone in that row? Okay, let's go to the next row, the second to the last row. Please raise your hand if you have a hardship. And I'm going to start Ms. Harrington, juror number 44. Do you have your hand raised, ma'am?
I do.
You do have your hand raised? Okay. Juror number 45, Mr. Palika. Juror number 46, Ms. Jean Baptiste. Juror number 47, Ms. Carrion. Juror number 48, Mr. Richards. Juror number 49, Mr. Trujillo. And juror number 52, Ms. Ojeda. Did I miss anyone in that row? Okay, and finally in the last row, if you would please raise your hand if you feel you have a hardship. Okay, juror number, it's very hard for me to see. Is it Mr. Thompson? Is that your name, sir, in the far back? Sir, in the far back, are you Mr. Thompson?
No, Miranda.
You're Mr. Miranda?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not trying to be picky, but we have misplaced you, in other words, put you in the wrong order. So you also put your hands down. The sheriff's office is going to adjust your seating. The only reason is because we do charts with your names, and that's how we keep track of everyone. So if you're not in the seat that we have you on our chart, it sort of messes everything up. So they're going to figure out what the issue is, and we'll be back with you in just a minute. We're just going to take about a couple of minutes to let them go ahead and do that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to be clear, I do have.
Okay, you know what, hold on, let's finish this for just a second. Okay, we're back in session. The jurors have been reordered. So I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anyone. So I'm going to start with the second to the last row, which I have already gone through with the raise of hands, starting with Ms. Ojeda on the one side and Ms. Harrington on the other. Did I miss? And Mr. Miranda, you're now in the second to the last row.
Judge, can I have numbers?
Sorry. 51, Mr. Miranda. Okay. So, do you have a hardship, sir?
Well, I'm not really sure if it's a hardship, but I have a family trip in July 1st for a week, and I can't change anything or get my money back for that.
Okay, so it's July 1st to...
The 9th.
Okay, I'm just looking at the calendar. July 1st, we are off, and July 4th, we are off. So you would be out 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is juror number 51, Mr. Miranda.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. If anyone has their, I know a few hands have gone up, that's fine. When I'm finished with this section, I will say, did I miss anyone in the section? And then you can raise your hand if I missed you or if you have something else to say, okay? The final back row, please raise your hand if you have, if you believe you have a hardship. Juror number 60, Mr. Comite. Juror number 58, Mr. Campos.
Yes.
Juror number 57, Ms. Collier.
Yes.
Juror number 56, Ms. Riveron. Juror number 55, Ms. Johnson. And juror number 54, Ms. Gilbert.
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone in this back section who had their hand raised that I did not call on? Ms. Saunders, juror number 30, I thought you had raised your hand.
I just wanted to know if I could just leave everything here and just pee, that's all.
Yes, yes, yes. No problem, I'm sorry that we kept you waiting, I didn't mean to do that.
No, that's, I am so sorry, guys, but you know what, laughter's good. Well,
Okay, so now I'm going to go through individually, starting with juror number 36, Mr. Lopez.
I would just like to talk to my employer to see if it will compensate me.
Okay.
I work for like a little private company, and I'm the only person in my production that works.
Okay, so do you, if your company would compensate you, would you otherwise be able to serve?
Yeah.
Do you want to call them?
Yes.
Okay, you may do so, sir. Mr. Eakins, juror number 37.
Good morning.
Hi.
So I'm in the same situation. I don't think I'll get paid, but I can call my employer to find out the rule.
Okay, you can go ahead and do that, sir. Ms. Valentin Mercado, juror number 38. Hi.
Good morning. I am a 3L law school and I'm sitting for the bar in July.
Oh.
And I have a 5-year-old who I care for 100% of the time.
So you can't be here. You have to pass the bar.
I'll come back.
Okay, thank you. That would be a hardship if you had to be here and not studying. Is that right? Okay. Congratulations, by the way. Okay, juror number 39, Miss Maggie or Maggie.
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 How are you this morning?
Fine, thank you.
I won't be living here anymore when, when this would occur. Otherwise, I'd have no problem, serving.
I'm sorry, ma'am. Can you just one? When are you moving, Miss Maggie?
Actually, for the last month and a half, we've been packing. Our house is 3/4 empty. It's all in our place where we're moving to.
Are you moving to another state, another city? You don't
Yes,
tell me
North
exactly
Carolina,
where.
North Carolina.
Okay. And so you're,
By this first day in May, we would be gone. Probably in 3 weeks, we'll be gone.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Michelle?
Yes.
How do you say your name, ma'am?
Malaika Michelle.
Michelle, Miss Michelle. Go ahead.
I'm a travel nurse. I only get paid when I work, so I cannot afford not to work for 4 months.
Okay, thank you, Miss Michelle. Ms. Mathlier, juror number 41.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Two issues. The first one is that I would have to call my employer to find out whether they would pay me, but I think a bigger issue is a moral issue that I have.
Okay, so we'll speak to you about that in private, so why don't you go ahead and have a seat, okay? I'll get to it. Thank you. Ms. Brown, juror number 42.
Good morning. I will have to also call my employer to find out.
Ma'am, I don't know if you're comfortable, but if you are, can you just take your mask down so I can hear you?
Good morning.
Hi.
I would also have to call my employer to find out, and I also have upcoming trips this summer with my kids,
Okay, when are your trips?
June and July.
And do you know the exact dates?
Around June 21st for a week, and then in July.
For how long?
A week.
And those are already planned vacations with your children? Paid for?
No, but planned.
Okay. And your children are in school?
They are.
So do you plan your vacations around the summer vacation? Summer schedule?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Ms. Harrington, juror number 44.
Good morning. I also work for Publix. I'm currently part-time, so I have financial hardship.
I'm sorry, Ms. Harris, can you speak up any louder?
Good morning. I also work for Publix. I am currently part-time, so I would have a financial hardship.
Because they wouldn't, I assume by the other gentleman who says Publix will only pay for 5 days, that's the same with you?
Currently, as part-time, I don't get paid at all.
To miss?
If I were to be full-time, then I would have this issue.
Okay, so that would be a financial hardship for you if you were required to be here? All right, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Palika, juror number 45.
Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm a merchant mariner. I work as an engineer on oil tankers. I'm assigned to my vessel during the dates on the calendar here, so I won't be in town. And right now we're short on engineers, so I don't think there'll be coverage. And if there is, I don't get paid, so it's a financial hardship on me.
Okay, thank you, sir. Ms. Jean Baptiste, juror number 46.
I am a full-time college student and I have a part-time job. I can't afford to miss work for 4 months because I probably do my job and they would only pay me for like 3 to 5 days. And if I miss school for 4 months, I'm losing out on my scholarship. So
I understand. Thank you for letting us know. Ms. Karim?
Yes, it's Kareem.
Kareem, thank you.
So I have a couple things going on. My husband has already committed to a consulting project in the New York, New Jersey area for the entire summer. Because we knew we had committed to doing that, I agreed to babysit my granddaughter. My daughter is actually buying her first house in New Jersey at the end of May. and her babysitter, who is currently in New York, will not be going with her. She needs coverage for a long, because she and her husband both work long hours, and they need a driver. Because I knew I would be in New York with my husband for the summer, New York, New Jersey, I committed to her that I would take care of the baby for the entire summer.
Okay.
So our plans are to be in New York, New Jersey from the end of May to early September. She's my first grandchild. She's a year and a half old, and I'm looking forward to spending that time with her.
Good for you. Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you.
Mr. Richards, juror number 48.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hi.
I'm a part-time worker. In other words, I do taxes. And at the end of this season, I have a ticket to get another job out of the country for starting May. So I need this job as I am financially out. I don't have it.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Trujillo, juror number 49.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Hi, how are you?
The length of the trial would cause a financial hardship for me. I am a commissioned employee for an IT consulting firm. So the time that I'd be serving here as a potential juror, I wouldn't be paid.
Okay, thank you, sir. Miss Ojeda, juror number 52.
You don't have to get up, ma'am. Have a seat.
Unless you want to stretch, you can.
I had to stretch.
Okay, and by the way, if anybody here has any kind of issue, even if it's not a medical issue, but you need to stand up to stretch at any time or your leg falls asleep, you can do that. And certainly if anyone needs to go to the bathroom, please just get the attention of one of the deputies, and we don't like people to be uncomfortable here. So no problem, ma'am. You can stand, sit, stretch, whatever works best for you, okay?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm in the middle of getting treatment for my back. That's what's going on. I have 2 herniated discs and a problem with my spine right now. So I can't walk. I couldn't even walk halfway from where we were to here. That's why I took this taxi. And I don't know if I'll get paid at my job. I work full-time for Apple. I'm a technician, but I read that they only pay 3 days for jury duty, but I'd have to find out. I put in a text to my manager.
Okay, so if Apple were to pay you for your time away, are you in a situation, in other words, we don't want anyone to be sitting here in pain.
Yeah, if I sit for long periods of time, I have to stand up. I can't sit for long periods.
Standing would be fine, and stretching would be fine.
Standing for about 5 minutes.
And that would be fine. You would, in other words, the selected juror would be sitting right here in this box, and anytime you need to stand up, you can stand up, as long as you can concentrate.
The issue is that I have doctor's appointments with my doctor to take care of my spine.
Okay, and how often, approximately, you don't have to give me any specifics, just approximately how
About
often?
3 to 4 times a month until we see if we're going to do surgery or what's going on.
Okay, so you have doctor's appointments 3 to 4 times per month, and those are during the work week?
Usually on a Friday, because that's my day off during the week.
Obviously, you can't miss your doctor's appointments.
That's right,
And when do you anticipate having surgery?
yeah. We have to figure it out. I just took 6 x-rays and I'm doing an MRI Friday.
Any idea of a time frame of when you would be undergoing surgery, like in the next 30 days, 60 days?
Maybe in the next 30 days we have to talk about it.
And after you have surgery, I'm assuming you'll be out for a while?
I think 7, 8 weeks.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And by the way, you can remain standing if you're more comfortable.
That was good. That's as long as I can stand.
Okay. All right, let's move on to juror number 60, Mr. Kamit.
Good morning, how you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Actually, I'm pretty much a safety officer. If I don't work, I don't get paid. Actually, I got 2 issues. Also, I'll take care of my dad sometimes. But I also go to the gym. That's the hardship, that's mental. If I don't go to the gym, I just definitely go to surgery.
Okay, so sir, let me just start with your job. If you don't work, you don't get paid, so would serving on the jury be a financial hardship for you?
Definitely.
Okay, thank you, sir. Juror number 58, Mr. Campos.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hi.
Sorry, just got a knee replacement, so.
Oh, we need to have you on the end.
I'm okay.
It's like being smushed in the middle seat on an airplane.
I'm self-employed. I'm an owner of an LLC, and I'm the LLC's only employee. And if I'm out of the office, I can't do work for my clients that I have on retainer. And if I can't invoice them, I have no income. So.
I understand, sir, and that would be a hardship for you, I presume? Okay, thank you, sir. Juror number 57, Ms. Collier.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you pretty well.
Okay, because I can hear you as well. But if I serve to the end of time, it will cause me a financial hardship. I am a teacher, and I do not get paid over the summer. I have to work during the summer, and if you're not there, you don't get paid. Actually, during the summer, if you miss 2 days, then you're off the summer roster.
So you do summer school for extra money?
Absolutely. The only way to make it.
I understand. Thank you, Ms. Collier. Juror number 56, Mr. Riveron. Ms. Riveron.
Yes.
Sorry.
So I have 2 daughters that I pick up at 3:30 every day. I also take care of them during the summer. And then I have already a paid vacation in July.
Okay, so the girls are out of school for the summer and you care for them all day?
Yes.
And there's no one else to take your place? All right, thank you. Juror number 55, Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Hello.
I'm the sole caregiver for my husband who has
Dementia, you said?
Alzheimer's.
Okay. And there's no one to replace you? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Juror number 54, Ms. Gilbert. Hi, how are you?
I'm a full-time adopted mom. I have 3 kids. And I still work with my elderly mother at times when my sister go to work.
So you're the full-time caregiver for 3 kids?
Yes.
And there's no one else that can watch your children for this period of time? Okay, thank you. Did I miss anyone in the back section who may have had their hand raised, but I didn't see them, perhaps? Okay. At this time, I am going to have the following individuals, if you hear your name, please stand up. You're going to go with the bailiff. You're going to be asked to fill out a questionnaire. Please print legibly. Please make sure to answer all questions, and please do your own questionnaire with your own answers. If there's other jurors that are back there sitting next to you, please don't, say, well, what did you put for number 2 or things like this. Please answer to the best of your ability, and please do not discuss the case. If your name is called, you are in the group of people who is under an order not to discuss the case with anyone, including friends and family members, until I tell you otherwise. Please take your schedule that is on your seat with you. It has all of the information you need about dates and times. You are going to be considered Group B, so you'll see on your calendars it says when B is required to report, and that is not until May. And then the next date after that, you have it all there. The staff will give you my business card with my office information on it. If you have any questions or concerns, you can call my office. Otherwise, you need to report back here to the 17th floor on the date that is indicated on your schedule on your seat. Juror number 5, Mr. Levine, you're in Group B. Juror number 7, Ms. McClellan. Juror number 11, Mr. Barr. Juror number 15, Mr. Delarmy. Were you able to get a hold of your employer?
Actually not. My policy, I believe, is 3 to 5 days for compensation. I will get clarification after they finish the meeting.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't have any problem with that.
Okay, so sir, if you want, what I can do is I can excuse you to fill out a questionnaire. You can follow up with your employer. You can find out, and if you find out they're not going to pay you, you can contact my office, and we'll have you put something in writing that you're not going to be paid, if that's what you think. I mean, otherwise.
Sure.
Okay? So you're going to be in Group B, Mr. Delarmy. Juror number 17, Ms. Lopez. Were you able to contact your employer?
Yes, they will only compensate me for 5 days.
Okay, so would it be a hardship for you to be out of your salary for the rest of the time? Juror number 20, Ms. Roberts. Were you able to get in touch with your employer?
I did. The person who made the final decision was not there. I spoke with her assistant, and he said, as far as he knows, they will pay.
They will pay. So what I can suggest is you do the same thing as Mr. Delarmy. We have you fill out a questionnaire. Plan on coming back. If you find out that you are not going to be paid and you believe that's a hardship for you, you can contact my office. We'll have a form for you to fill out and send in. Okay? So you're in Group B. Okay, the additional names that I call, please go with the bailiff to fill out a questionnaire. Again, you're in Group B. Juror number 22, Mr. Cox. Juror number 25, Mr. Thornton. Juror number 30, Ms. Saunders. Juror number 34, Ms. Ladyman. And then going back to juror number 32, Ms. Paulin, did you have a chance to speak to your employer?
I did, Your Honor. They are willing to compensate me for 3 weeks. They said a contingent upon a grand jury. It's usually only 5 days, but they would extenuate for 3 weeks only. And that the other thing is that they would have to replace me with a traveler, which would be double my salary. So it financially would hurt the organization.
Okay, and how about if you're only paid for 3 weeks, is that going to be?
3 months, no pay would be financially a hardship.
Okay. Thank you for checking.
Thank you.
Mr. Gregory, juror number 43, you're in Group B.
May I say something to you?
Sure.
I just misunderstood something earlier on. I just noticed here where I'm here on reporting early for my jury duty because my original date was the 27th of this month.
Okay.
But I'll be out of town for a week. I won't be coming back until May 4th. So I asked, and I'm here today to serve early. Also, during the month of July, every year, I take my daughter out of the country for a kind of reunion that she has to do, culturally and otherwise. She's 12 years old. So
that's for the whole month of July?
Yes.
And you said it's a family reunion?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's already planned?
Yes.
So you would not be available the entire month of July?
Exactly, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Delaney, juror number 50. You're in Group B, sir. Please take your schedule with you. Juror number 53. Mr. Thompson? Ms. Thompson. I can't read my own handwriting, and I can't see you to confirm until you stand up. You're in Group B, Ms. Thompson. Also, juror number 59, Mr. Collins. You're in Group B, sir. And then in this back group, we had a few other people who were checking with their employer. Juror number 32, Ms. Poland, I've spoken to you. You checked, and they're only going to pay you for 3 weeks. How about juror number 36, Mr. Lopez?
I talked to my employer. He said he's only able to compensate me for 3 days, and if I don't work for the rest of the month, it's a problem.
Okay, thank you, sir. Juror number 37 is Mr. Eakins. Were you able to call your employer, sir?
Yeah, they would only compensate for like a day or two pretty much, so it'd be a financial hardship.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
They would only compensate for a day or two, so it'd be a financial hardship.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to speak with the attorneys now. We have these headphones that we use so that the things that we say are not heard by the entire group because they're legal matters that are not appropriate for the jurors to hear. I'm going to put on some white noise. You all may feel free to talk among yourselves, obviously not about the case, but about anything else that you want to talk about, the weather, sports, I don't know, all the things there are to talk about, except for this case and what's going on in here. And we will be back with you shortly. If the lawyers would please Good afternoon, Ms. Matlier. I'm sorry I don't mean to single you out, but
It's no problem.
but you indicated you were willing to call your employer to see if they would work with you, but then you also said you had a moral issue. And the reason I brought you back by yourself is because I'm not exactly sure what it is, and I just don't know if it's appropriate for everyone to
You guys
hear.
one at a time, please. Thanks.
So go ahead and let me know what it is.
I don't support the death penalty.
Okay, well, can you follow the law?
I would not be able to support, the choices based on what the original instructions were, was life in prison or the death penalty.
Correct.
I wouldn't be able to support the death penalty.
Okay, so there are many people who have strong feelings one way or the other with regard to the death penalty. However, the law, as it stands in Florida, has a provision for the death penalty, and it also has a provision of when it's appropriate to impose the death penalty. So my question to you is, can you put your personal beliefs aside and follow the law, or do you think under no circumstances could you ever impose the death penalty?
Under no circumstances.
Okay. And then as far as your employer goes, who do you work for?
Florida Blue.
And do you have any idea if they'll pay you for your service?
I can call and ask.
Okay, why don't you step outside and call them and find out, and I'll speak to the lawyers for just a moment, okay? Good afternoon again.
Hello.
Did you have a chance to get in touch with your employer?
My boss is in a meeting and I can't reach HR.
Okay, so you don't know whether or not you're going to be paid. And if you, let's assume your employer is going to pay you and not reimburse you, but to pay you, is there any other reason why you feel you cannot serve on this case?
Other than the one that I already told you,
Meaning what?
that I don't support the death penalty?
Other than that?
No.
Okay. Who's going to inquire?
From here on?
Sure.
Should I just from here? Or?
I think you can just do it from there if you don't mind.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Just have a couple questions for you. Just I want to clarify something about the issue that you brought up, and I appreciate you sharing that with us very much. And I don't want you to think that I'm trying to pressure you or put words in your mouth, okay? But I wanted to tell you that in Florida, the law never requires
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Objection.
Sustained.
Can I hear the grounds for the objection?
You're misstating the law. If you want an advisor on the law, you can read from the jury instructions, but I don't want you to ad-lib as far as what the law is. Please.
There's a process in Florida, okay, the jurors go through after hearing all the evidence in the case, okay? They have to take into consideration the evidence that's been presented by the state. It's called aggravating circumstances. And those aggravating circumstances, all they do is they provide for the possibility of a death verdict, okay? It's not required, but if they're proven by the state, that becomes a possible punishment. Not required, just a possible punishment. The jurors then go through and listen to or consider the mitigating evidence that they've heard from the defense. Mitigating evidence are reasons for a life verdict. And the jurors then weigh that evidence, weigh the aggravation that they've heard from the prosecution. And aggravating evidence is reasons for a death verdict. And again, mitigating evidence is reasons for a life verdict. Does that all make sense to you?
Yes.
And each juror weighs it for themselves. But they give whatever amount of weight to the mitigating evidence that they deem appropriate. No one can tell you as a juror what weight to give a piece of mitigating evidence. As a matter of fact, the law allows you to find whatever you deem mitigating in a case, mitigating to you, and to give it whatever weight you want. And you don't have to be able to articulate it or identify it or write it down on a piece of paper. If you feel it, it exists. And if you believe that that mitigating evidence has the weight of life, you can vote for life, despite the existence of a great deal of aggravating evidence.
I object to misstating Florida law.
It's a
Yes,
perfect
that's the
statement of Florida
mitigation.
law.
Sustained.
So the question becomes for each juror is, could you go through that weighing process? And so my first question to you is, do you believe that you could do that process of weighing the aggravating evidence and the mitigating evidence?
I could.
And then ultimately the question becomes for each juror is what verdict they think is appropriate. And a juror bases that decision after, I said, weighing the aggravating and the mitigating evidence. But they make that decision based on their own individual moral assessment. And you certainly are free to discuss with your fellow jurors that issue, but when it comes time to vote for life or for death, each juror has to turn inward to their moral compass to make that decision. But of course, to be at that point, you have to be open to possible punishments that exist. And so, I'm just wondering, do you think that you could make that decision without already knowing what you're going to do ahead of time, but go through that process, that weighing process, and then turn to your own individual moral determination to render the verdict that you thought was appropriate?
Okay, so there are two issues that I have in regards to the death penalty.
Yes, ma'am.
Number one is the fact that you do have some people that have been given life, well, death, and they've been exonerated.
Yes, ma'am.
Come out of evidence has come out, da, 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 da.
Yes,
All right, so that's problem number one. Problem number two is, from a religious standpoint, I do not feel that it is my right to be able to say you deserve to be put to death.
Yes, ma'am.
So those are the two things. Now, could I wait information? Yes. But at the end of the day, it would be, it would just be very hard for me to say, I believe that this person deserves to be put to death.
Yes, ma'am. And I totally respect that. And the Supreme Court of the United States says that it should be difficult.
Objection to the legal, this is not the.
That's a direct quote from Witherspoon
Okay.
versus Illinois.
Okay, but it's my job to instruct the jurors on the law. If you want to ask the question based upon the law, you can do that. Just please frame the question differently.
Man, it's important. Yes, ma'am.
So I know that, you have both sides that are listening in and you're trying to make a decision.
Yes, ma'am.
But if all parties involved, knowing where I stand based on what I just said, if you are, both sides are okay with that, I'm okay with that, but just to let you know where I stand from a law and legal system standpoint and from a religious standpoint.
Yes, ma'am. I respect that. And you know, in this case, Mr. Cruz has pled guilty.
Yes.
So the issue of innocence is not one that we have in this case, right? And so the main issue for you would be the moral issue.
The two that I stated, the moral and the religious, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're moral and religious. And I guess what I'm asking you, and I'm not trying to put any pressure on you, I just want to know that, do you believe that if you were in that situation, having heard all the evidence and talked to other jurors and in the deliberation room, that you could give meaningful consideration to both possible punishments and then vote for the punishment that was a representation of your individual moral assessment?
I think I could give consideration, but again, I would strongly weigh on a stand that I've had my entire life.
Yes, ma'am. And that's there's nothing wrong with that as long as you would give meaningful consideration to both possible punishments.
I could.
Thank you.
Ma'am, there's nothing wrong with anything that you said, okay? So I just want to know, because you had said you could never vote for the death penalty. Do you still feel that way?
Yes.
So even though you could consider something, you would never vote for the death penalty?
I have never been put in that situation, but for my entire adult life, I have felt a certain way, and I don't know, but I really do strongly believe that it would be very, 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 very difficult for me to do it to a point where anybody that knows me knows that particular stance that I have.
No one is contesting or criticizing or upset with anything that you said. You know.
I understand.
So this is our only opportunity really to talk to you about your feelings. So when you said that I would never be able to impose the death penalty.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That means no matter what the facts or circumstances or what the law is, in your mind, and I'm not being critical, you would not be able to vote for the death penalty.
No, I wouldn't. No, I
Would not.
would not.
So when Judge Shear, all the lawyers think they know about law. You know that, right?
Yes.
The only one who knows, able to instruct everybody is Judge Shear. So she's going to instruct you as to aggravating factors and mitigating circumstances. She'll tell you it has to be, each aggravating factor has to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt. The mitigating factor doesn't have to be proven, the mitigating circumstance does not have to be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. just something for you to consider, and the death penalty has to be unanimous, and each aggravating factor has to be, all the jurors, it has to be unanimous. Okay. So the question is that your feelings against the death penalty, and believe me, there's nothing wrong with that. And like I said, it's their only opportunity to speak to you about it. Would your feelings about against the death penalty interfere with your ability, to follow the law, as Judge Shear says it is, because of your opposition to the death
I don't know.
That's fine. So you think there may be some circumstances you could vote for the death penalty?
My stance throughout my life has been because of flaws in the legal system. So there's a possibility that I honestly don't know, because for my entire life I have had a certain stance. So I cannot tell you whether yes or no. If evidence before me was overwhelming, that would be one thing, but I would probably go back to what I have within my spirit felt my entire life, and I do not believe that I would be able to do it.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. Would you feel uncomfortable even doing that?
I don't know.
So when you said before that you'd never be able to vote for the death penalty,
yeah.
you're going back on that?
Yes, I am.
You are going back
Yes,
on
I
that?
am.
Okay. So you'd be able to follow the law?
I'm a logical person, so I probably could, but I know you're talking, we're like splitting hairs. I honestly don't know. When you have had a certain philosophical, moral belief for an extended period of time, and that is part of who you are, it's just a difficult question to answer when, as part of who I am, I have acknowledged certain struggles my entire life with this justice system.
Okay. But you also understand this is both parties, it's our only opportunity to speak to you.
Yes, I'm not offended.
Right, okay. So, obviously, when you said to Judge Shear that you would never be able to vote for the death penalty, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. That's your moral code and something you believe in. You're not alone in it, obviously. So, but this case, the death penalty is involved. So before you go in, if you feel you could never vote for the death penalty, that's a concern. And it would be a concern if your feelings about the death penalty were and again, there's nothing wrong with that, would substantially interfere with you making that decision.
And I think it would.
You think your feelings would substantially interfere with your ability, to consider that?
I agree, yes.
Okay, okay.
Ms. Mathley, thank you so much. These are very hard questions to answer, and I can tell that you've put a lot of thought into all of your answers to these difficult questions, so thank you for doing that. It shows you're a very conscientious person, and we appreciate your honesty and letting us know how you feel and answering some tough questions. So if you wouldn't mind, please stepping outside. We'll be with you shortly, okay? Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Dr. Masters.
Oh, thank you.
started when you get to your assigned seat. Thank you.
Auditors are present and accounted for.
Okay, everyone may be seated. If you all would just give me a minute, please. Everyone, thank you very much for your patience. I know it's been a long day and it's been a process so far. We are going to try to move through this as quickly as possible so that you all can know where you're going and go on about your way. For now, I want to introduce myself. My name is Judge Elizabeth Scher, and I'm going to be the judge presiding over jury selection in this case. In order to have a fair and lawful trial, there are rules that all jurors must follow. A basic rule is that jurors must decide the case only on the evidence presented in the courtroom, which means you must not communicate with anyone, including friends and family members, about the case, the people and places involved, or your jury service. You must not disclose your thoughts about the case or ask for advice on how to decide the case. I want to stress to you that this rule means you may not use electronic devices, go on any website or chat room, or send or accept messages about what goes on here in court or your jury service. And this applies to you until I excuse you from this particular case. So you can't do any research, you can't talk to people about it, you can't try to find stuff on the news. All of us are depending upon you to follow the rules so that there will be a fair and lawful resolution in this case. Any juror who violates these restrictions jeopardizes the fairness of the proceedings, and a mistrial could result that would require the entire process to start over. This is a tremendous expense and a waste of time to the court, the parties, and the taxpayers. So please, do not violate this order, and if you become aware of anyone violating this order, please let me know by telling one of the bailiffs who are in white. And this is Ms. Blackwood, and she is the head bailiff. And if you have any questions or concerns that you think need to be brought to my attention, please let Ms. Blackwood know. The matter before us today is the criminal case of the state of Florida versus Nicholas Cruz. The case stems from a school shooting that occurred on February 14th, 2018 at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. Please understand that although you may be familiar with the case, you will not be excused merely for that reason alone. Nicholas Cruz, the defendant in this case, has pled guilty to 17 counts of murder in the first degree in a previous proceeding. The only issue that will be before you if you are selected to serve on this jury is the appropriate sentence for each of the 17 counts. The punishment is either life imprisonment without the possibility of parole or death. Ladies and gentlemen, the purpose of jury selection is to find a number of people who can follow the law and serve as fair and impartial jurors. In order to be eligible to serve, first and foremost, you must be able to follow the law. You must also be willing to follow the law. And the law is exactly what I tell you it is in this case and nothing more. So you don't have to have some legal studies to be a juror. You just need to be able to listen and to agree to follow the law and be fair and impartial. Madam Clerk, this is a little bit out of order, but would you please swear in the panel? I forgot to ask her to swear you in, so before I ask you questions, I'm going to ask the clerk to please swear you in at this time.
Please stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will answer truthfully all questions asked of you as prospective jurors?
Yes.
Yes. Please be seated.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more time, but this time by a show of hands. Is there anyone here who believes or feels that they cannot and will not follow the law in this case? I'm going to take the first section over here by a show of hands. If you cannot and will not follow the law, please raise your hand. Okay, in the back section, please raise your hand if you cannot and will not follow the law. I see two people, and it is a little bit difficult to distinguish the people in the rows, so I'm going to say, is this Mr. Challenger, juror number 37? Okay. And who else had their hand raised, please? I see Mr. Sir, in the second row, what is your name?
Slade.
Mr. Slade. You cannot and will not follow the law, is that correct? Okay, and who else had their hand raised? And you are behind Mr. Slade. Are you Mr. Brunson?
O'Reilly.
Mr. O'Reilly, juror number 40. Sir, you cannot and will not follow the law, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
The number.
Juror number 31, Mr. Slade. Juror number 40. It was Mr. O'Reilly, correct?
Yes.
I see someone else with their hand raised. Sir, what is your name?
Sultan Ember, I don't want to be part of this.
Okay, Mr. Ember is juror number 42. Sir, is it your position that you cannot and will not follow the law?
Correct.
Okay, did anyone else, that's juror number 42, Mr. Ember. Also, to recap, I spoke to Mr. Challenger, juror number 37. And there is a woman in the back, it looks like, Ms. Boskin. You cannot and will not follow the law? Is that a no?
It's not.
Juror number 44, Ms. Boskin. Boxon?
Bozon.
Bozon. Was there someone else in the front row? Is it Ms. Bowers? Juror number 25. Ma'am, you cannot and will not follow the law? Is there anyone else in the front in this section beginning? Okay, I see a gentleman with his hand raised. Sir? Okay. I'm going to have to go one by one. All right, I'm going to go back to this section over here because I see people with their hand raised. Mr. Wagner, you cannot and will not follow the law in this case.
It goes against my religious beliefs, ma'am.
Okay, I just want to say that I haven't instructed anyone on the law. And so it's a little surprising that so many people are automatically inclined to say they cannot and will not follow the law. So I don't know if it makes a difference to you all that I have not instructed you on the law or what law you're going to have to follow in this case. If that doesn't make a difference, that's fine. But I thought you should know that. All right, Mr. Wagner. And is there anyone else?
I just wanted to speak with Ms. Blackwood. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What's your name?
Sterling Bauer.
Juror number 19, Mr. Bauer.
Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am. Hold on just a second, please.
Okay.
This is juror number 3, Ms. Roll.
Yes. I would love to, but I'm on medical restrictions with my walking, my sitting, and
Okay.
all that good stuff. But I got my summons late because it was in my neighbor's mailbox.
Okay, no problem. Okay, here's the thing. I'm going to go through situations like this for those who have a hardship in serving. I just haven't gotten there yet, okay? But I will be happy to come back to you, okay? So in the back section, if you cannot and will not follow the law, I'm going to ask you to stand up because I can't, with all the different rows, I can't distinguish who is who. So please stand up if you have not yet been called, but you believe you cannot and will not follow the law in this case. Mr. Brunson, juror number 41. Thank you, sir. Sir, what is your name? Hold on just a second. Okay, you can stand up, and when I call you, you can sit down. Sir, what is your name? I'm sorry?
Jason McCoy.
Mr. McCoy, number 46. Sir, you cannot and will not follow the law. Is that a yes? And ma'am, on the far end, what is your name, please? Yes. I'm sorry? One more time, please, Racine?
Francine.
What is your number, please, on your chair?
52, I think.
Thank you.
43.
That's her first name.
Francine Mercez, is that your name? Yes. Okay, ma'am, is it your position that you cannot and will not follow the law?
Yes.
Even though you have not heard it yet?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You can have a seat. And miss, what is, and that's juror number 43.
This is juror number 51.
Juror number 51, Ms. Cifuentes?
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot and will not follow the law? Okay, all of the people who indicated that they cannot and will not follow the law are excused to go back to the jury room where perhaps you'll be selected to serve on a different type of case. You're not excused for the day. You have to go back to the jury room. They are waiting on jurors and they need people. So please, you're excused. Wagner, juror number 13. There's no talking until you leave the courtroom, please. Mr. Bogner, number 19. You're excused to go back to the jury room, please. Thank you. Ms. Bowers, number 25.
Excuse me, Judge. Sidebar. We have a sidebar, please.
Have a seat.